And the other aspect of this is really about America becoming more insular, looking inwards. And particularly this court case makes America look inwards rather than outwards. The war in Ukraine is clearly one issue, and even AUKUS, the way in which Australia is wrapped up in that broader, sort of, if you like, push from China, with Xi Jinping this week going on a charm offensive in Europe. So, again, the timing of this is quite incredible in terms of the international geopolitics, political scene, and therefore the global economy.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ross, actually, just in terms of America's focus outward. As you say, certainly now it's very much inwardly focused. And as we know, Donald Trump has started campaigning against US involvement in the Ukraine war. And if he becomes the leading candidate, he'll be talking about that, basically every day in the media. And so that in turn is going to make Americans more generally less interested in spending money abroad, less interested in sending troops abroad. And that affects Australia, of course, because they're our most important ally. And if there is another Trump presidency or even a Trump-style presidency, perhaps Florida Governor Ron DeSantis runs and wins, perhaps, he's saying the same things as Trump too. So that could have big ramifications for AUKUS. I mean, I must say, I went to an AUKUS dinner just a few nights ago in Washington, and some people were surprised at the comments that Paul Keating made about AUKUS, of course, very critical, and some Americans do wonder whether or not that will ultimately undermine the Labor Party's support for the pact. And some in Congress, perhaps, who never liked the deal in the first place, will use that as an excuse, perhaps in the future, for the US to pull out, or at least to downgrade it in some way.
I'll tell you what, that is also fascinating in terms of the geopolitics and where Australia sits in that. But as you point out, you can't divorce the economics from the politics right now, especially coming up into the next election, where people will look back to the Trump term where the economy was strong, and then coming now to a weakened economy. So that the contrast between the two and what people are feeling if unemployment is starting to rise is going to be very real.
Yeah, certainly. One of the protesters actually yesterday outside the courthouse, your question just reminded me, he said to me, times were so much better under President Trump. I mean, he was there supporting Trump, obviously. And he said that. That was the first thing he said to me. And so, and it's true. I mean, until the very end of Trump's presidency, the US economy was in very good shape, very low unemployment, very low inflation, and very low interest rates. And, basically all those things are not true now. And for people who tend, and that's most people, to blame the government for whatever the prevailing circumstances are, they will blame President Biden. So it's going to be fascinating.
It will be indeed, no doubt. Well, we'll keep up to date with that with you, Adam, in New York today and back in Washington in the near term. And we'll talk to you from there. Many thanks for your time.